Drama, drama, more for your mama. Welcome back to the counselor's office. Bungie done effed up again, but here we go, checking it out.
Woo, okay, turn that off. All right, back to the counselor's office. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Based on the title and this subreddit that I've graciously been found, Bungie has ruined Sherpaning and the new raider experience. For those that have been living on a rock and or have not noticed, raids, even your most basic raids, dungeons, and even the Vanguard ops are now -5 and have surges. We'll get more into that in a minute, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time to read this and then give my thoughts on it, right? Let's see what this is all about. This is not my post, but I'm going to jump in and see what it's about. Discussion. I've been a frequent Sherpa since Lightfall, and I have a whole Discord server for new players and enjoy taking people who haven't been raiding through their first time. You're a G. Can we give this guy a round of applause? And that's not me just being like sarcastic. I mean, literally, people like this, we need more people like that. And I wish I was more patient. I'm going to be honest. I am not as patient as I definitely should be, which is why I don't usually live stream Sherpas and stuff like that. Maybe like exotic missions I can do, but raids where it takes a lot of time, you have to be like really open-hearted to be able to use your time to help other people. So thank you, Angry Mikey. I can understand why you're angry, but yes, thank you. I think we need more people who are willing to step up and be willing and be patient, because it does take a lot, especially with new people. I mean, not to say that all new players are bad, but there are definitely people who refuse to listen. And that is a common complaint with people who do Sherpas, is that people who want Sherpas want to be carried versus actually learn. That's not everyone, but I just want to put that out there that is a common complaint. With the new changes to raids, it is now a hell that I don't know if I care to do anymore. My average Sherpa time on Crota is around an hour. Because of the changes, it's now 2 to 3. King's Fall can take up to 4 hours and used to take 2. Not all new players have the best survival ad clear builds, and new raiders definitely don't have every top damage option for every element. War Priest, who is an easy 2 phase, is now a slog with 3 to 4 phases. With div nerf and well nerf, I think that's what I meant, well nerf on top of the -5 cap and surges are extremely unfriendly to new players. I don't know why Bungie is trying to alienate new players from their most and unique activities. I'd be fine if there were these requirements on new raids, but Vault of Glass, King's Fall? For those wondering, Vault of Glass and King's Fall are the free-to-play raids. Even Crota is free-to-play. Anyone, you don't have to buy the game, you can just play them. So it's literally meant for the free-to-play players, along with the rest of the community. Edit, took down my link because too many people are joining. I'm only one guy, LOL. Also would like to clarify some comments here. I always Sherpa 5 new raiders by myself, and notice I said new raiders, not new players. There's a huge difference. I am happy to deem a picture of my Crota clears with my average time. Also would like to clarify the fact that I personally am not mad at the changes for my experience. I'm sad that my experience as a Sherpa will now be less enjoyable, as it will experience as will the experience of those I Sherpa. All right, let's dissect this a little bit. First off, the -5 across the board is straight. Bungie does not care about new players. They don't. There is, like, you can make, if there's people making arguments for why raids need the -5, and there's dungeons, again, you can't, soloing a dungeon is going to be a bitch to do. I'll be honest, it's going to be a straight to do. I'm still maybe gonna try. I don't know. I do all solo flawless dungeons at least once. It's my thing, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that do it too. But why are Vanguard ops, just the basic, not even Nightfalls, just the basic Vanguard ops, why is that -5 with surges? For people who don't understand why that's a big deal, at -5 you do 35% less damage, and surges are only 25%. So even if you match the surge, you're losing 10% maximum damage. You're not even doing the full potential of your guns, even with surges. not to say that he's absolutely right, because look at this. He says it himself, and I think it's not all new players have the best survival ad clear builds, and new raiders definitely don't have every top damage option for every element. And that is a key thing. Right now, solar is like the most dominant thing because of Still Hunt. But right now, this week, as I'm recording, it's arc and strand. How many good arc weapons are there out there? Not a lot. There's not like a lot of top DPS weapons. And not only that, how many new raiders, because obviously new players need to start building up some experience. But that's what Sherpas are supposed to do anyways, is help people who are new. But new raiders, people who've never raided, maybe they play PvP. There's plenty of PvP mains that have played for years who've never touched a raid, who may be interested, but they don't have the most dominant weapon. And someone's going to say, well, they should just go get him. Easy for you to say, bucko. That's when you go to PvP and then you have all PvE weapons, and then you're mad because you're not doing well. Like, it's easy for the PvP main to say, well, you should go get the best PvP weapon, right? Either way, we can all agree that if you're a new raider or somewhat fresh as a player, you're not going to have everything best in slot. And it used to be that basic raids, anyone could really do, as long as you were competent and you listened as a team, you worked together. Now you have to abide by the surges, or you're going to do so little damage, especially if you have non-meta loadouts. It really does punish people for having non-meta loadouts. If you are not running the meta, you will do worse damage. If you're the kind of people that usually run double primaries, you're probably going to suffer. If you don't have every best in slot exotic, you're probably going to suffer. Especially if my dude's brave enough to take 5 people. That's nutty. You're a nutty man. You're crazy. You're crazy. But it's going to take so much more work to do. And listen, I know there's elitist hats, but if you want a challenge, that's what master raids are for, you stupid morons. It's like, I was tired of how easy raids were doing. Then do master. Oh, master's just a novelty. You can't say it's a novelty and then complain about not having a challenge, you stupid people. How stupid are you? Dungeons and even Vanguard Ops. What? Who wanted this? No one actually came out and said that. I never saw like Salty Greppo or Datto like, you know what? I wish we were all -5. I wish we did less damage and then we had to abide by surges. I really wish we were all handicapped and we were forced to have to use the most meta sweaty things for each element instead of having the freedom to play what we want to play, because that's fun. Listen, I understand now why PvP players hate skill-based matchmaking, because essentially that's what we have with the -5 handicap. It is literally skill-based matching all the time now. You had to sweat your balls off and use the most meta thing. If not, your experience is going to take longer. So it's a trade-off. Do you want to take longer, or do you want to use the most sweaty things? There is no middle part anymore. There is no, I want to be able to play what I want to play. No, Bungie says, F you. We don't care about you, the new player experience, the new raider experience. We don't care. Suck it off. It's no one wants this. No one. We're listening to you. It's funny that we got so many good graces and they pulled in so many people, but this crap is going to pull people away. And I was going to wait to do this for my final shape review, but it's becoming more and more apparent that people are tired of it already. Like, I did a Warlord's Ruin, and my God, it's a night and day difference when the boss hits you, even with the different surges, even if it's not like Void and you have the elemental resistance on, that thing destroys you. I remember I could tank a couple shots, but like one shot almost insta kills me. I'm like, how are new players or even like somewhat competent players going to deal with this, let alone solo this? And I get it. Some people are like, well, they shouldn't really be doing this. And my retort to that is, go F yourself. Where do you get off gatekeeping how other people should play their game? Especially Sherpas. Like, that's the thing, right? If someone's actively willing to Sherpa these people, then they should be able to request a Sherpa even if they're new, even if they're fresh. Base raids, that's what that was for. Then us sweatier people who wanted more of a challenge, we would go to Masters and we would get the loot from that because of that. It was more prestigious. So what the hell is raids now? Like, where's the fun? Granted, can I still enjoy raiding? Absolutely I do. But I don't feel I don't want to do it more because I have to put more effort into it. Sometimes I just want to chill and have a good raiding experience. I don't want to spend an hour, 2 hours. I just want to hop on, kill some things, get some loot, enjoy my time, move on. And there's going to be those little dweebs with their little hat. Like, well, it shouldn't be like this. In-game activity, and it should take a long time. And like, those are the people whose personality is destiny, who don't go out and touch grass. Like, they're the literal poster child for not touching grass. Let's not talk about the fact that speedrunners are also being affected by this. Yes, the most top echelon are still going to speedrun, and they're still going to do low mans. But people who are wanting to get into the field of speedrunning, well, are not going to do it. Like, I personally wanted to try to do some speedruns or try to actually do some low mans. But with the -5 and like the extra effort and time it will take now in addition to what it would have already taken, I'm good. I don't want to touch foot into it. Yes, that's my personal experience, but there's other people that are complaining about it too. This is not just a me issue. This is a large part of the community. Like, let's look. Let's go to Steam charts. This is just Steam charts. Destiny 2. Look how many players. Look how many 59% gain. Are these all returning players? Are these all veteran players? Absolutely not. These are new players. These are people who are wanting to play the game. And if it's a sweat fest, they're never going to be able to enjoy some of the best parts of the game, and they're going to leave. And that's unfortunate, right? And then you have doorknobs in the community that let's see. Like this I saw this little tweet. I said it elsewhere. By the way, don't listen to people that are stupid enough to pay for the Twitter blue. You know they're a moron just by looking at that, by the way. I said it elsewhere. But having raids in particular at -5 base feel great. It's a subtle enough change that it forces you to pay attention, which I love. It reminds me of how playing Last Wish in first year of its release felt. Surges, I'm pretty neutral on. I just like that for those who are interested in low man speedruns, it potentially forces them to wait for a certain combo. Outside of that though, I quite enjoy swapping up my gear depending on the surge. You could have done that beforehand, you stupid moron. And if you think you're doing more damage, you're not, because you're still doing -10 even with surges. You're an idiot. Overall, raids are ultimately in-game content, and given the mass power creep we have seen over the years, look at rocket sidearms. I think the power deficiency is a positive change. You know, if people are power creeping, you can literally just make it to where raids are at level. Like, you can't go over the level, so you're not doing more damage. You're also not doing less damage. You could do at level, so there is no going over the echelon. Then you have some 75% of player base have never completed a raid before. Master difficulty already exists. Why are we making the base difficulty of raids harder when most people haven't even completed one before? Just makes zero sense and serves no one. And then Mr. Yurfy over here, master difficulty is a novelty. You're an idiot. This is how you know someone who's never done master difficulty. This is someone that you know has never done a master difficulty anything when they call it a novelty. A thing people do once or twice and then move on, which is a different conversation. It is so important the base raid itself has a modicum of difficulty. It is meant to be an in-game pursuit, something players work towards over time. Having the base version of raid, the version 99% of the player base engage with, be stupidly easy is not healthy for the game and causes apathy for the active raiders. What? Again, this is simply Bungie trying to combat the massive power creep that occurred over the past few years. Even strikes are -5 now. Yes, why are they -5? No one played, listen, no one played them because they weren't a challenge. No one played them because they weren't rewarding. There was no reason to do it. That's why people don't do strikes and they do like Grandmasters, because Grandmasters are rewarding. And people who can't do Grandmasters just do the base Nightfall so they can get the base Nightfall weapon. But no one's doing Vanguard, not because it's not challenging, you stupid reject. It's because no one is getting anything out of it. If there's reward, people are going to do the risk. You can't say, oh, Master's a novelty, it's a different conversation. No, it's in the same conversation because it is harder. It is what it should be as a challenge. That you're complaining isn't a challenge. The reason why people do it once or twice is because the reward isn't there. It still needs to sweeten the pot. That is the Bungie issue. That is not the player issue. 99% of the player base doesn't want -5. You stupid person. You're right, and you should say it. Did you Needle ever move the new raiders when raiders would fall asleep during DPS easy? What? Normal raids should have never been changed. Bungie should have just added tiers of improvement. There, this guy gets it. Here you go. That's what that should have been. There should have been a tier with improved rewards, because then people are going to do the more challenging thing for more rewards. We've heard me yap. Let's see what people say in the Twitter, or not the Twitter, but in the Reddit. I just started playing again after a couple of years hiatus. What exactly did they tweak that is making raids so difficult to Sherpa? Everyone is now -5 level. Surges means the element of the weapon for optimal damage. I read a post on here from a guy with a regular raid group who said they used to do Croto with five of them, but since it's the changes, even 6, they found killing near you and Crota much harder. Salvation's Edge through just 5 encounters to Sherpa is taking about 6 hours if you're taking through 4 people. It's a big time commitment for people to give, especially 4th encounter. But that is a special case because there is no, like, you are taking more damage at a -35 or at a -5. You're taking more damage, but 4th encounter is not DPS. It's literally just logic. So I can see why that alone takes time. This is interesting. Thanks for the context. I wonder if they could introduce a standard classic version as well with the new mechanics to satisfy groups that want an extra challenge. You would think, but Bungie knows. And this is why they won't do it, because Bungie knows no one wants this, so no one will ever touch the other one. Even Mr. Yappy Yerpy over here, Mr. Twitter Blue, who spends money like an idiot to make himself feel better about himself, even he wouldn't use it because he would just use the regular raid. Guy below me makes a fair point that people could overlevel. I think just on level was fine. I have never had issues with raids until now. My issue and the issues for most is about jumping at the witness fight. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation for your group. Brother, ew, one of the best things about normal raid dungeon was it was one of the few places untouched by modifiers, meaning you could choose whatever you wanted and didn't feel like you were griefing a run by not matching the surges. And that's exactly what you should expect. Now you're going to have people who are going to demand even more so that you are running an element tight. And if you are not, you're considered griefing. This community is not welcoming. It is a double-edged lie. You can look and go to whatever YouTube content creator and they give off this facade but when you get into the trenches, when you get out of the content creator bubbles, when you get into the trenches, there are people who will kick you for the slightest thing. I've been in the trenches. I've had a clan, luckily, who don't give a crap what you run, and that's great. I encourage you all, find a clan. It's a 10 times better experience. You should definitely, I know if you have social anxiety, a clan is definitely the place to go if you are forced to subjugate yourself to interact with other human beings. I do it because I just like to stay in tune with the community, but I would be very hesitant to believe whatever content streamers say, because they have their own community that literally suck their toes. And so it's a better experience for them than for people who are actually in the trenches, who essentially feel like, are treated like they're griefing because they're not running the meta or they're not running the surges. Most players never do raids. It was a very odd choice to make them even less accessible. I know my friend are more casual, and we're always happy to wait on the new raids until they got a point where they could overlevel them. This move just ended that experience for them. And here's the thing. I know exactly why Bungie did it, because they knew with the new system that if someone was, let's say a raid is 2,000 and you could over level 20 levels, so you can go 2020. The power leader would essentially bring everyone over the level, and so it would make everything a sneeze fest because everyone would be over level doing more damage and it wouldn't be much of a challenge. I get that. But they literally could just made everyone at the power delta of 2,000. So you didn't do more, you didn't do less, you just did what you should normally do at a normal delta. It's that easy. Each raid typically takes a few hours for new and casual players with optimal builds. So factor in the age of the player base plus life demands plus available free time in your progress checkpoint gets wiped every week. I can see why some players never try raids. A casual group might only have a small window of playtime once every couple weeks if that group isn't way overpowered and or very knowledgeable of a raid specific mechanics. That group may only get through 1 to 2 encounters in a session just to have to redo those same encounters the next time they play due to weekly resets. That group would never get a full clear, so at that point, why bother raiding? This was just an example, by the way, and not my personal experience, but it's very true. It's a very see, again, people who are like, oh, you're just a whiny babies. They live in their little streamer content creators bubble because they see their content creators make everything look easy. Oh, they do carries and Sherpas all the time. What are you talking about? The community's just whining, and yet you have people who are in the trenches, people who are not spending thousands of hours, who don't get paid to play Destiny, by the way. These content creators and streamers get paid to play Destiny. So get out that, put that in your thought bubble. Literally, it doesn't matter how long they take to do Sherpas and carries because they get paid. They get paid to do it, right? And these are people who are paying with their own time, who come home from jobs, who have wives and kids, people who have everyday experiences, who aren't being paid to play the game, and they have to spend their time more so, even more now because of the Delta. And yes, it is a big deal. When you choose to play a game, you want to get into it, you want less barrier of entry. This was not wanted by anyone, except for the few doorknobs like year on crack over here. Listen, you could be very unempathetic to these people. I will continue to fight for these people. I'm still gonna raid, so at the bottom dollar, it's a minimal impact to me directly. It's annoying as hell to me, but I'm a meta hoe, and I will use whatever needs to be done. I'm still hunter, so I'm a meta hoe. I'll say it right now. But for these people, like, I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna speak for them. I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna clap back. I'm going to call out the bullcrap of the Destiny 2 community, who is very toxic and very inclusive. The only time the community really cares is if it bothers them. But luckily, it feels like a majority of people do not like this. So I think I speak for a large portion of the community when I say that Bungie done effed up, and they should really look at what the community is saying and get rid of it, or make it a different tier with more rewards. Like, there's so many options they could do that they just didn't do. They didn't ask people what their thoughts were on it. They just did it. Overall, it is going to push people away. This describes my experience perfectly. Oh, that's pretty much my clan's experience in D1. In D1, I was a regular raider and part of an active clan around 12 players. Most of us were our early mid-20s. Our cadence in D1 was doing the nightfalls after reset, all 3 characters. Then a minimum of 3-time raid on weekends. We're clear each Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come D2, and most of us no longer can commit to that amount of time due to now having full-time work, partners, kids. Finding a slot where we have 6 players online at the same time is reasonably rare. Happening once or twice a season. We try and raid, but rarely ever clear it, with most of us having maybe 20 D2 raid clears over the entire lifetime of D2. Yeah, these are the people that are trying to raid, that want to experience the end game. Like, there should definitely be prestige, and I'm all for having challenge and prestige. That's what master raids should be. Base raids are end game, but they're not the end game. Like, grandmasters are harder than base raids. Masters is supposed to be the pinnacle. Base raids should be for everyone. If that wasn't the case, then why make a free-to-play raid if it wasn't meant for everyone? It's like Pantheon. Pantheon really wasn't meant for everyone because it was power capped. It had modifiers. It was a challenge. So why are we going and telling people, you know, Pantheon is a challenge at -5 starting, but then we have base raids at -5? That's not being inclusive. That's not how it was. You can't go from years and years of raids, even back in D1. D1 raids were the same way, where they were inclusive and anyone could do it, even Sherpas if you wanted to do that. And now suddenly we're just going to close the gates on a lot of people. We're going to make it harder for no apparent reason, even though we already have master. And if no one's using the master mode, then you need to look at what you need to do to the master mode to make people want to do said master mode. But Bungie's not doing that. And no one wants to really point that out, right? No one wants to point out why no one's doing these other difficulties, why it's a novelty. That's the real issue. That's just my 2 cents. Again, we could go on and on and on, and it just seems like there's a lot of people who just want to give their opinion, and that's great. I urge you guys to check it out for yourself, especially if you've got your panties up in a bundle about me standing up for these people. I suggest you get in the trenches and really look and see what people are saying, because a lot of them do not like how this is, and I absolutely agree. Until next time, I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more. As always, game out. Huzzah.